This is Outnumbered. Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno, here with my co-host, Kaylee McEnany, and also joining us today, Dr. Nicole Saphier, Cheryl Casoni, and Pete Hegseth. Now, Democrats are bracing for a political tsunami come November, and their stance on crime and defunding the police is one of the reasons behind the looming red wave. But the Democrats still just don't seem to get it. West Hollywood is the latest example of that. The city council just voted to defund the sheriff's department. And get this, they're using the money it saves to hire 30 unarmed security ambassadors to patrol the area, an area that just saw a 137% increase in crime just from last year. Polls show the issue could hurt them even more in the upcoming midterms now that violence is spiraling out of control across the country. And voters seem to trust Republicans more with a crisis. Plus, just this week, there was this dire warning for the Democrats as 1 million voters across the country switched to the GOP over the last year. Hegseth, Democrats still just don't get it. Not only that the red wave is coming, but why?
Exactly. So I'm being mugged. Somebody called the unarmed ambassador. I mean, the lunacy of their ideas bears itself out. You see it in the crime statistics, and people feel it in their own lives. And now that it's moving into neighborhoods where the donors and the elite class themselves live, it's becoming more of an issue. When states like Oregon are in play, there's a governor's race there where it's not a given that the Democrat will win. There's an independent Democrat running on a pro-law enforcement label there. When the state of Minnesota, where I'm from, has a viable Republican option that could win in November, it's an indication that this is a quality of life election. I know the left right now is trying to yell about Roe v. Wade and claim that will motivate their base and bring them out. It might bring out a small percentage of their base, but enough people live in these cities where their lives have been turned upside down, where the rhetoric they've been told is progress actually is regressive, that I think they go into the ballot box and say, I'm no conservative Republican, but I have common sense, and I love my family and my kids, and I want them to have a better life. So this red wave doesn't change based on events of the last week and a half. And when places like West Hollywood, which is to be expected, it's about as bright blue as you can get, continue to double down, it shows how at war that party is with itself, which is not good when you're going to the ballot box.
That's right. And Kaylee, Democrats have argued that it's some type of messaging issue about crime. But the reality is that it's simply policy, that they have failed to account for public safety, for the quality and values that Americans strive for. And they prioritize and emphasize the rights of the defendant and the criminals over American citizens. They refuse to see what a paramount issue it is for these voters that are swarming red.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But notably, this was a vote of who? The city council. It was a 3-2 vote. So this is 5 people voting to defund. That should give people encouragement because these are just 5 people and the tides have turned. When you look, to Pete's point, at nationwide elections, specifically, though, on the West Coast, voters are frustrated. In Portland, Oregon, 8% think their city is flourishing and prospering. 8%. It's hard to get, 8%, that low of a number. But indeed, that's what happened. In the race there, you have Tina Kotek. She's the Democrat nominee, who's normally just the person, heir apparent. Not in this case. Betsy Johnson is an independent. Betsy Johnson ran an ad saying this, calling Portland the city of roaches. You can see the deterioration of the beautiful city of roses, now the city of roaches. She's a former Democrat. Now she's an independent. She has outraised the Republicans. She's outraised the Democrats. And she very likely could prevail in this city. And the Republican has an outside chance, too. And when you couple that with San Francisco, the DA, Chesa Boudin, being voted out, Gascon, now there's enough votes to at least have recall on the ballot, and 2 radical school board members who wanted to get rid of Abraham Lincoln from society voted out in San Francisco. Something's happening. I'm not suggesting California is going red, but people are waking up saying enough.
That's right. And it's happening in Seattle, too, where the city council is essentially communist. And the rest of the voters there have said, look, we believe in criminal justice reform, but not nearly to this level, this radical and ridiculous level that you have taken us to, including defunding the police. And that might be in part why the 1 million GOP voters that the GOP has taken on in the last year, it reflects people from all over urban, rural, red and blue-led states.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I know that there's a bit of yesterday, our good friend Jessica Tarlow said, we're taking our politics with us when we go to Florida and Texas. But the data is not showing that. In Florida, for the first time ever, registration of Republicans is outpacing Democrats. And this is a wave of Northerners who have come down to the state. We're seeing this in Texas and all across the country. People are not bringing their politics. They're leaving their politics in the hellholes they're fleeing.
And doctor, for those that are set on their progressive radical politics, how can that be when crime is affecting everyone? Those in West Hollywood, those are exactly the targets that are being stalked by gangs back to their front doorsteps and being brutally assaulted there. And yet there the votes reflect the staunchly blue color that Hegseth mentioned.
Well, Emily, you mentioned that they're saying that they have a messaging problem. But as Pete said, it's a policy problem. At this point, the Democrats have a real problem with holding people accountable for bad behavior, whether it's the White House by encouraging illegal immigration or even the Affordable Care Act by saying it doesn't matter what your lifestyle behaviors are, you won't have to pay for it, other people will pay for it. Or even Gascon, who the first thing he did when he took office was he tried to do away with some of those sentencing enhancements, like the triple strike rule, gun and gang sentencing. By doing that, you're making it easier for people to commit crimes and live healthy lifestyles, and it's really affecting those who are doing their best. You have people who are struggling to pay for oil, gas. You still can't get baby formula. We are also rationing medical supplies because of supply chain issues, and yet you have the defund the police movements, and so people are finding themselves, they're having a difficult time living. The communities around them are becoming more and more unsafe because of the Democratic policies. And what they're going to do when come the midterms and come November and the elections, they're going to do what's best for themselves and their families. It's no longer about voting Republican or Democrats. They see what's happening with these policies, and they want to make sure that they can provide for their families and that their neighborhoods are safe.
That's right. So, Cheryl, voters are not only speaking, but so too are those that represent and are parts of the criminal justice system. So here in New York City, where we live, 250 NYPD detectives have retired. 65 assistant district attorneys have resigned so far this year. That's an addition, 70 from Brooklyn, 59 from the Bronx. These are double-digit percentage resignations because they have had enough with the soft on crime policies.
Yeah, well, because you're seeing a revolving door, especially here in New York City, because of this cash bail law that was instituted, again, by the state legislature. So they're punishing New York City, to be clear here. But one thing, you guys are mentioning the shift in politics. What we saw here in New York City last year, I thought was really interesting. This is a blue city. It is a Democrat city. Basically, if you're a Republican voter in New York City, you really don't have a voice. What we saw was a lot of independents and Republicans shift over, register Democrat because they were so angry at what they'd seen to their communities, the way that the children are now unsafe on the streets of New York City, which is true. And I'm a Manhattan resident, and I was here through all of COVID, and it was awful, okay? So we did see a political shift for the Democratic Party here. What you saw was progressives that wanted to be the mayor of New York City did not make it. Maya Wiley, I'm talking to you. She's an absolute moron. And then you saw Eric Adams come in on a pro-police agenda. But Alvin Bragg, Manhattan DA, he's one of the biggest reasons that you're seeing the prosecutors leaving and retiring, walking away from their jobs here in New York City, because he came out with this big plan, first day in office, and it was the most progressive nightmare. And all these New Yorkers, especially the ones that left the Republican and independent status and went over to the Democratic Party, were horrified. And he's had to backtrack. He's had a lot of pressure. But this is, again, the George Soros-funded DAs across this country that are really affecting these blue cities. So it is a political story. And then, of course, I have a lot of friends, I'm sure you guys do too, in the NYPD, and they've had it. They feel disrespected. They feel handcuffed.
Because there's nothing more demoralizing than doing your job and then running into a catch and release program. You capture them, you put them away, and they're back on the streets the next day.
So true.
How can you continue your job in that context?
That's right. And I think the ripple effect is going to be here for quite some time, because obviously that means the investigative personnel and cadre has now been gutted too. So the public safety, the immediate issue, obviously we're all dealing with, but it's going to be for quite some time. So I think this red wave will last, perhaps be a flood for quite some time.
I can only hope.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.